Nathan's already on board. That's not even been invented yet.
Yeah.
Speaking of sudden bursts of loudness, welcome to a full house episode of the F Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Price, Mason, Dylan, Nathan, Jill, and Annabeth. Now with the rest in between, because there's so many of us, we're breeding like rabbits over here. On today's episode, Nathan, what are we talking about?
Dream scenario.
Hey!
Which definitely we needed everybody here for.
Yeah,
it's
it's neat.
Bryce was so excited.
The funny thing is,
I only had one person.
Yeah.
It's
There's
your
already
personality.
5 of you all.
Yeah. Okay, now that we're back in a nice cadence and rhythm, what's Dream Scenario about?
It's just this little movie about Nick Cage being a professor and just starting to show up in people's dreams. Starts off pretty benign, gets a little hectic. It's really kind of just like an analysis, I feel like, on the sudden rise to fame.
Oh yeah, it polarizes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that. I feel like that's what this is a lot about. It's just like a normal person thrust into like a inordinate amount of fame.
Well,
Like somebody blowing up on like a social media platform.
if anybody
or
gets
something.
that, it's us at this podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
If we had a nickel. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy.
Weird that it's happened twice, right?
Wait, 2.
What? Let's sleep in. So, Price, you're here for this review.
I am.
Quick hot takes. We'll just kind of go down the Caterpillar line we got going on here.
I guess the first thing I would want to bring up is that I was going to put this movie on the wheel when I was still here regularly. Like this was going to be this is going to be this is going to be the next one I was going to pick, because I think there's like I watched this blindly and then I watched it again for this, because I think Nicolas Cage's character in this is so interesting, because he's almost like our typical, that we've talked about a lot, of soy boy beta cut kind of guy, but he's not really, because he's wanting to take action every time he talks. Like one of the first conversations in this movie after the dream to intro the movie is Nick Cage and his daughter talking, and he's just like, I just stand there, like I don't do
Why
anything.
can't I be cool?
Like
Right.
I didn't try saving you or doing anything. And then the whole rest of the movie is about how he feels like his life is slipping away from him. I mean, the woman takes his idea for research, which really propels everything.
Yeah,
Intelligence. And that
You didn't
really
use the term?
and that really gets on his nerves, and he's just like, he feels like he's so frustrated all the time, but he's also such a smarmy kind of guy. Like he's so gross.
Yeah, he's not very likable.
Yeah.
To be honest.
There's not one point in this movie I looked at him and I was like, I understand what he's doing.
I get where he's coming from.
I mean, I can kind of see his motivations at Tom. I think a lot of times it is, I mean, talking to his unlikableness, he is just very self-centered in this
Yes.
whole movie.
Mhm.
At every opportunity, he's looking...
Self-centered and lazy.
Yeah.
Which is a bad
So
combo.
lazy.
Right, and then blames the world for it. It's kind of got like that incel energy. If we were like, if we
Big
stripped
time.
out like this whole idea of like,
Big
why
time.
do incels struggle? It's like we want everything. I say we, you. They want everything. I am
Damn,
also
Dylan.
me, also a celibate man. You know. No, so they want everything. They don't want to do any of the work. They hate the world for not giving it to them. And this is very much the defining traits of this character. And but at every opportunity, you see him immediately thinking, here's how I could do this. But then as soon as he has to do even a little bit of work, it blows up in his face, which is pretty much the script.
Which is very telling in that conversation with the researcher, the fellow
Yes.
researcher.
The
Yeah.
sprite.
She's like, well, I actually did the work. She's
Yeah.
like, you got a book written. And he's like,
oh, yeah.
well, I'm gonna... And I'm gonna
It's always, I'm gonna write it.
write it, yeah.
It's like, why, how, you can't, like, you shouldn't even admit that you're starting to write a book.
No.
Or that you're planning to. Like,
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
to be halfway through the book before you even tell anybody that you're writing a book.
Yeah.
And she was even like, hey, can I see a draft? Like, maybe
Yeah.
We
like
could
I could
collaborate
stop
there,
or like
yeah.
collaborate.
And for him to
he's
be
like, "Ah."
immediately like, oh, do you need more things to plagiarize?
Well,
or
and plus,
whatever
like he was
said?
like recording and then it took him until after the conversation to be like, "Oh, this is just dog
Yeah,
shit."
it-
Yeah.
Like, they have to
you
delete
can just
this.
like, I sound terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was a
Deleting
really
that.
Which is
Yeah.
a really cool directorial choice, because they have the conversation when it's going normally, and then once it gets to the point where he's like, come on!
Yeah.
Like he's in the
Yeah.
car listening back, he's like, I sound terrible.
Yeah.
And then he just deletes it.
Yeah. What about you guys at the other end of the couch?
Uh-huh.
Any crazy takes?
Is he a very attractive man? Do you have sex dreams about this
Oh my
character?
gosh. Which dreams were your
Do you
favorite
want to
about?
stand ominously in the corner?
Right.
Oh yeah, just go stand over there in the dark.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree kind of that he's, like, unlikable in the beginning especially when he's like, please, credit me on your research.
Yeah.
But then, once everything starts to go wrong, I just felt bad for him. I was like, he didn't really do anything wrong.
Well, he keeps messing up, though. Like,
Yeah.
yes, he was put in a bad position, but the choices he makes afterwards are all bad ones.
Well, like, he wanted...
He chose to cheat on his wife.
He did,
Should not have
yeah,
done that.
he did that. But I'm saying, like, he didn't do anything wrong to make all the dreams
No,
bad,
at the
and then
start,
everyone
he
was
hadn't done
blaming
anything.
him for things that weren't really his
Well,
fault.
he did do something wrong. He was going to cheat on his wife,
Well,
and then
yeah.
the dreams turned.
Yeah, true.
So that, I mean, he kind of caused that, even though he doesn't really understand or like acknowledge a way in which he had any control over that. Like, it's very much like that happens,
And
then
then-
things turn really bad.
yeah.
It's interesting though, like on my second rewatch though, what I noticed very particular is when the dreams break.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not actually when he cheats on his wife with that girl,
Mhm.
because they go to sleep, the next day passes, but what triggers it and makes it go off is when he's in the living room and he sees the research that
He
that
just
lady
starts
presented. And
cursing.
he starts like cussing, going crazy.
Was
His
that not a little bit
daughter's
before that, where it seems like he's trying to be in her dream this time, and then it's like he's in his daughter's dream instead, which is real creepy. That was a big turning point.
Yeah, there is that
Oh,
weird moment where
Like they're like
'Cause it's the
after
scene
he
right
cheats
before.
with his wife, there's a scene where he seems like he's trying to enter someone's dream, like maybe trying to make up for his bad scenario.
Right.
And then like it cuts to his daughter who's like in a dream and sees her father like running towards her.
doing that.
Yeah.
The one where he's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
The Johnny Bravo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as far as, like, the bad decisions, like, I think he does kind of ease into it, where he's like, look, this isn't just for fame. I'm not big on fame. I just want to promote this book. I just want to do all this for the right intentions. But that quickly spirals into, Sprite's going to give me a deal, and I get to meet Obama, and, like, all this
Yeah.
stuff just gets flashed at him. And
But
he
it's
just
not like
But
he
runs.
actually, he doesn't even want that.
Yeah.
No.
He's just saying that,
He
like,
wants it
when
for
he's
his book.
talking to his wife, he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Sprite and Obama. He's always, like, trying to make himself sound better than he is and
Yeah.
putting, like, that spin on it. Like, oh, everything's going so well for me.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
But, like-
also so selfish.
Mhm.
Like
Ah.
he's like given this opportunity to do something, and instead of like trying to make money to help his family or anything like that, he is only self-serving to like his own ego of
Mhm.
wanting to like publish this book or like leverage whatever he's got to boost his ego and not actually like do anything helpful for anyone
Yeah.
else.
I think where I would split the hair on where maybe I can kind of like accept the selfishness and then where I start to just be like, I do not feel bad for him is the line where it's like, if you have such a bizarre but situation happening, I get for like getting a little bit of yours off, because at the end of the day it's like I'm getting dragged into the light by not my own will
Mhm.
because you all are dreaming of me.
Yeah.
How is that fair to? And this
Yeah.
that they play that a lot on the tail end of the movie, but for him, whenever he's in that business meeting with Michael Cera, who
Michael
because
Cera with a mustache.
yes, because
Yeah.
of course, this just has Michael Cera in it randomly. It's this moment where he's like, I kind of just want to get my book published. I don't really want to make the money and do all the things and do all that. And then you see, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of here for that. He's like, I'm not even asking for more than what I won before this all happened. I'm staying humble in my needs.
I don't know, I was kind of judging him for showing up to this meeting because there's no way this guy was going to have an academic.
No,
No.
yeah, look at the
Yeah.
place.
You
Like,
should have realized
yeah.
coming into this was about money, commercialism.
This was very Silicon
Yeah.
Valley from the
Yeah,
very
but
start.
Corporate
he's
culture,
trying to
basically, yeah.
get in the door however he can. So if this
Right.
person reaches out to him and is like, I want to, market you or whatever, he's like, well, maybe this is
And-
a way to get my book published.
And even a little quid pro quo, I could kind of see if he's like, all right, fine, you don't have to do Sprite every night, just 2 nights, and then we'll get you a publisher for a book. And it's just like, all right, I could see that. You know, if he just goes on Instagram and says, I just like, one crispy Sprite before bed or whatever. Like,
Which that girl staring at Nicolas
Yeah.
Cage that
Oh, I thought she
entire
was gonna
meeting.
kill him in
Right.
that meeting. Like I thought it was gonna be
God.
another person trying to murder him.
I actually had the impression that I'm like, she's trying to bang.
Like, it didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
As
in
soon
her
as
eyes.
they were in the
did.
elevator
Yeah.
together, I was
Right.
like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
cheating time.
Because he was standing with her, and she was like, "I dream about you all the time," and he's like,
Yeah.
I don't do anything, do I?"
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, you
Oh,
do."
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly,
It was
well,
so creepy.
we're saving that part for hear it in just a second because it's the one part that immediately made me think of Price, actually. But so
I appreciate that.
Trust me, when we recap on it, you'll know why. And
I know what you're talking about.
You know, right?
I've seen the movie.
Anyways, but wherever I start to to finish up my thought, where it starts to just get like fuck you about the whole thing about it is whenever he's given this opportunity, and they're like, yeah, we could probably get the books started to publish and stuff like that. And then every little opportunity that comes up for him to benefit himself in any way, like, he just starts to take, right? He's like, oh, no, towards the girl, and then he sits on it for, like, a second. And then in the movie time, obviously it's a little bit of time, he comes home, talks to his wife, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go grab a drink with that one girl. Mm-hmm. And then it starts just kind of spiraling up from there. And it just makes it really hard to... I mean, it's like we're already kind of hard to cheer for this character to begin with, but then it's hard to sympathize with
that
him.
Conversation that they even have in the bar is
Yeah.
so awkward.
Yeah.
They don't connect in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But she's basically just like, I had this dream. I want to see what happens. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I want to relive it in real life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we just want to hop into the cheating moment? Because I feel like that's a good natural transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for
Let's
it.
do it.
So, anyways, he's recreating her fantasy. They start to do it. She starts to get into his fan, and then he fucking farts. And I just remember thinking,
no, he did something else first.
all right, yeah, he queues up in the meantime. Here, you paint the picture then, because
Yeah, go ahead, Price.
Well, first,
Since we're skipping everything.
like, so she's on the couch, and he apparently, like, in her dream, he stands in the corner until she gets really freaked out, and then he comes over, and they start doing the
And
thing.
he takes charge.
Yeah,
He
he's
takes
very
charge.
dark,
in
yeah.
real life.
But in real life, he comes over too soon, and she's like, no, like, go deeper into the corner.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see you at all until... But anyway, then he finally comes over, they start making out, and all she does is place her hand, like, kind of on the inside of his leg, and then he pre-ejaculates, I'll say it, whatever.
Yeah.
He does, like, you see on his face, like,
He
he
busts.
does it, and then he farts at the same time.
And
Yeah.
then just this silence for like, I don't know, 20 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Just to sit in it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And in our normal editing, when he says pre-ejaculate, you would just have a video cut. It would be like bust, and it would be like the Donald Duck.
It'd be the Donald Duck video.
It'd be
Yeah.
7 seconds of clips of that.
You did your hand like this, so I was like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
actually, I thought we were going
No,
for
sorry,
that.
I was waving at the bust. Like, it's got to go at the screen. So
Oh, man.
AI, whenever you're looking at this later,
Whenever you edit this later,
when you edit this later, AI, make sure to put that in there.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't know. Anytime I think of stupid farts that ruin movies for me, I think, oh, I bet Price likes this scene. Like,
It was hilarious because
Ah.
the pre-ejaculation was like pathetic and like part of his character, like you thought would be coming at that moment.
Hey.
Yeah.
But then he does that pathetic fart that's just like a squeak. Like it's not even
Yeah.
like a real kind of fart. It's just the most pathetic kind of fart.
Yeah.
And it just makes him seem even more pathetic than he is in that moment.
Yeah, that's like that first date fart where
I don't-
you don't acknowledge it because it's too soon to be farting in front of a partner. You know what I
I
mean?
don't think I've ever heard of a fart being analyzed. And Bryce Bell, you went through the chapters of it,
It is.
Yeah.
It wasn't
and
even,
elaborated.
It wasn't even like a media like
no.
there wasn't.
No, I heard you.
If
It is
anybody
awful.
It's just
is gonna
crazy.
know about fart content, it is Price Bell. So
I
you know
got
what?
you.
This is his.
That's what I'm here for.
I was gonna say this might
This
have
is
been
his
the reason.
thesis in cinema.
I can
Honestly,
leave now.
Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's your fart specialist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we have
That's why
that?
he's back. He
All
just
right,
called
I
it.
know you-
I've got
you
a guy.
don't do that. Can you do fart specialist as like just a label above him? For just like 2 seconds.
But anyway,
Just a
this
watch.
scene happens. He leaves. The rest of the movie continues on.
Yes.
So does our review.
Yeah.
And things take a turn for the much darker.
Yeah.
Which-
Because it goes from he's doing nothing in everybody's dreams to he is
Being very active.
brutally
Mm.
torturing,
Murdering and
murdering,
torturing. Yeah.
like children. He's cutting their toes off one at a time
And eating them.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
it gets gruesome.
The girl at Richard's wife, the dinner scene where she's just
Oh,
getting,
yeah.
it's cutting to her getting strangled viciously on that one.
Which I do think if there's any time that I actually like sympathize, it is like right after he gets beaten down at this local
Yeah, he
diner,
does.
and,
Yeah.
and he just cannot
Yeah.
come to grips with like an apology might just be the best answer. Even his media team is like, no, this will be terrible. You can't do this.
Mhm.
Oh, and then he makes the
He
apology
proceeds to
and
make this
nobody
video.
believes
But
it.
the
Which is
only
funny.
But the only do you remember like the reason why he actually makes it isn't because everybody's telling him like he's traumatized them and stuff. And like the one with the hammer really got me.
Yeah.
Well, like the kid with the hammer, because I was like, that's the most like realistic seeming kind of hammer thing I've ever seen. But anyway, but he doesn't do it then. He does it when he has that dream of himself getting chased.
He's very
Right.
This whole thing is about a character completely self-absorbed.
Yeah, no empathy to the bigger picture. Even whenever they're talking about the like, he's having the which I can a little bit of. Here's where I could see it, and here's where it's like I lose him. Right when he's having that scene where they're like suspending him from the university or whatever, and it's like you can't be around. He's like they're like, you're traumatizing people straight, and he's like, everything is trauma.
That was hilarious.
This and everything, that and that, and I'm like. There it is. There's
they also imply the whole thing of like the right wing wanting to like have it's like, oh, we can get you on Joe Rogan.
Right.
Really, the only answer right now would probably be
the
Joe
cancel
Rogan.
culture movement.
Yeah. I'm also surprised that I'm kind of glad it doesn't get pushed that far, because in reality he just commits to right.
For sure.
He's already right leaning as a personality already.
I think in reality this character would definitely lean into that stuff.
Well, also he basically takes anything he's being fed for the most part. He might show a little resistance, like, oh, but what about my book? But they keep like tossing something, and he's like, okay, like
you throw enough temptation at a man, and he's gonna go down that, right?
But I do think that like the funniest part for me in this whole movie was like right after the video came out, and like the daughters are like, oh my god, this is the worst. I'm gonna have to kill myself.
And she's watching it in bed.
Yeah. And then like the wife is like, it's embarrassing to be married to you right now. And it's just everything just blows up in his face after what I thought was like a pretty good idea. Like I thought that was gonna help things. But
it's one of those. But it's more of a sorry that you're feeling bad kind of apology.
Yeah,
it's such a fake apology.
It's not as natural as
I will say on a very quick note, I found the wife very distasteful as well.
Why?
Yeah, I didn't really like her.
Right away, she kind of rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah, the scene that nails it home for me is the one where he bumps into the ex-girlfriend one, and she's just so like hypercritical on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, up until then, she's kind of like
she's not in his corner. At all.
She's not particularly supportive partner throughout most of the time, and they have a little fun banter.
But this ex comes up and is like, "I've been dreaming about you."
So on his part,
no way.
He didn't even have to give her the number. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He could have been like, I don't think this is very healthy. You know, like I don't think.
I mean, he soy boys into her neuroticism, but her neuroticism exists in the first place, and in a way that's already kind of like up until those scenes, you could tell that there's a little bit of this like. I don't know what the best way to describe it. It's like she's shot calling in an unhealthy way. Like I get a ick vibe off of her right off the bat.
I don't get it.
It's funny because I really liked the wife.
I thought she was good too.
And I thought they had good chemistry, and I thought they were like cute together.
They had playful chemistry on the tail end.
Well, I don't know. At the early end, I think they had some, but even at the very beginning, the first thing that the wife says is like, "Oh, you're gonna meet up with Sheila. Like, I want you to record it. Blah blah blah."
Yeah,
that was
that's
weird.
the part. And he's like, "Oh yeah,
it's not healthy." You know,
he's like, "Yeah, you like that kind of stuff."
I thought she was an ex at
first. The recording makes sense because he's been like, you can tell he's been talking about this woman stealing his research for forever, and she's like, all right, like we've been working on this, you got this, record it, I'd love to hear what happens.
Yeah, and he's not like, no, I don't want to do that because it's like he thinks
immoral.
She's suspicious or whatever. He's like, oh, you're so vindictive.
Yeah.
It's like, because you can
like
tell
they're on the same wavelength.
He's been talking it up like he's gonna like go get this lady and put her in her place and whatever.
Maybe that's in part why I probably get the ick from her so early, is because I feel like they're so on the wavelength, and he is an unlikable character.
That's like whenever you are saying they're on the same wavelength, like they're both unlikable.
Right.
That
like
is
they're
true.
both.
I'm like,
not good
I don't like
people.
him either, and she's vibing
like
with him.
she's trying to get herself positioned into places that she didn't do anything to earn being there, just through merit of her husband now being popular at points too. Like,
I didn't think she was given enough character to like really delve into her.
Well,
like she was kind of there.
I mean, it's just impressions, right? I'm not saying like a deep
That's fair,
thing, but
no,
like it's an ick real
I mean,
quick.
think about the fact that she's married to this guy to begin with.
For 15
like
years.
that's already a
red
huge
flag.
red flag.
yeah.
Like, you should not have married this guy.
He's not very marryable. Or had kids.
Like,
with
I mean, you
him.
keep talking about the incel thing. This guy is basically that.
Yeah.
Yet he's somehow married with a couple of kids.
Right.
In a really nice house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he's a professor.
PhD.
That
Yeah.
she grew up in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good
Yeah.
point.
It's her
Inherited.
family home.
That was a good catch, yeah.
So, yeah, he's never had much of anything.
Like the FBI guy just coming over like, look, you guys are just wide open. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
can come in here and fuck you guys up.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys ever considered, I don't know, a taser or something?
Yeah, the
Like,
small amount of FBI
literally
guy.
anything.
Well, he was even so to cover this part of it. Somebody breaks into their house and is going to try and kill him at one
Which is a
point.
very good and scary scene.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
thought it was
I
a
mean,
dream at
it's,
first, right?
It's pretty good. But then the FBI guy is also like, when he's talking about like, all these precautions they should take, he's also like, y'all don't even lock your doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his
Like-
first words out of, I will not own a gun. Like, he's like,
Yeah,
okay,
so
but
I'm
there
not
are
getting a
other
gun.
things, like,
Right.
you know,
There's cameras, security systems.
Right.
Yeah.
deadbolts. He even
Yeah.
mentions
Yeah.
deadbolts at
Lock
one
your
point.
doors.
How you gonna have 2 daughters and not lock your door?
Midwestern.
I
families,
think
you know?
he said it was like an unlocked entry point. He didn't say the door was unlocked. I think it was like they got in through the window or something because they were
Maybe.
over at the window.
So
Yeah.
He's the person who's very adamant about locking all doors at night.
Is the well?
Like, I feel like it's odd to not lock every entry point, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
you lock
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you leave
Yeah.
a couple windows open because if they care enough to go through the windows, you should get robbed. You know, that's fair.
If you're really gonna
If
go to that
someone's
effort.
coming through a window at night,
Yeah.
they mean business.
Right.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times it's, this is how I get into the house when I lock myself out.
Exactly.
You gotta at
But
least
the
leave
one
some
out
way
of
for
10
yourself.
times,
Right.
it's a burglary.
If I'm
Right.
asleep and somebody opens that window,
We're getting off topic
you
here.
know, anyways. So, Jillian and Beth, what's your preferred way of breaking into a home? Thoughts? So,
Jesus.
Okay.
Keep this thing going.
No, why-
the
why-
dreams
how-
get
well,
bad.
yeah, how about-
Do we want to jump to the commercial?
I want to see the
That was-
commercial.
Oh,
Yeah,
the new
commercial
tech.
was
Mm.
good.
That
What
tech
was
was,
the
like
scene?
fun.
The school scene was before that, though,
Yeah, it
right?
was.
Yeah.
That's
with,
right
like,
before.
Yeah,
it.
the school
was
scene
before
was right before
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
trauma sit down one. Are we talking about the one where
The one where
The
he
fingers.
goes to.
Oh yeah, the
That's
graduation.
probably
Yeah.
his biggest mistake is
Is a
even
play.
going there. Like, it was very clear it would go poorly if he showed up at that
Everything he
school.
does
I mean,
is
but
goes
do you
for-
blame him?
Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
I very much
I do
blame him for
too.
that
For
decision.
most of the things that happen to him, like him cheating on his wife is like the one thing that he actually does wrong in the movie.
Also, if you're banned from a school,
But there's
You're
no
traumatized.
reason to ban him. Like he
I'm
deserves
with
to
him.
have
Same thing
been
with the
able
diner.
to go. And
No.
the
Should
be able to eat in the
diner,
diner.
those
Yeah.
a-holes.
Those circumstances
Like,
felt unfair.
yeah, all
But-
of the
but
I
everything was
disagree
so
about this.
You
unfair.
gotta contend with the reality of the situation. And the
100%,
reality
that's
is
what I
said.
that
Yeah.
like maybe
he
not the
should not
restaurant,
be
but
out in
if
public.
every child in the school would feel
But if
comfortable
you
being there-
scrutinize someone just for being out in public, like, are you any better than anything? You know, like Nathan, if you had a dream, or if I had a dream that you massacred me, I'd probably still be on this couch because I can separate, you know,
But what
reality.
But it's
what
from
if it was
repeated.
happening
Every
literally every dream you
single-
had every night, and it was like quite realistic?
But
to you?
that's still your problem, not the person who's
You're
in
right.
your dream.
I probably wouldn't be on this couch
No,
with
he
you, but I
was
also wouldn't
told
throw
You're
stones
do
at
not
you in the
come,
minute
and
mark
they
down
said,
the
Do
road.
not
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
You can get
Ignore
gas.
us.
Well,
But
you're
we,
more reasonable, but there's the bigger world going on here. And
But
this
we
is the-
but we had like such a good scene prior with him at the at his university
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all the students on the bench with the therapist or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It was
Yeah.
like, this
And
is
they
your
were
teacher.
repulsed.
He's nice. Like,
Like,
let's try to bring him
let's
in and
work
see
with
how
it.
you all do it. And like
Yeah.
the closer he gets, everybody's like,
Immediately they both.
I can't handle it. And then
Yeah.
everybody leaves.
Yeah.
Like Nathan says, like you have to deal with the situation. Like
Yeah.
everybody.
Like, it
The
doesn't
world's
matter
not trying
how
to
it
punch you or
should be.
anything.
It is what it is.
That's how it is in this movie, and that's how you
Yeah.
have to move
yeah,
forward with it, I guess.
I think where our frustration, I think where a lot of the frustration lands is probably how honestly realistic it is. Because
Yes.
it comes back to this idea, right? Like, we're frustrated because it's probably a fair criticism of our behavior as a bigger society. How many times it all comes back to, but what about us, right? Now, all of us for a moment of empathy could be like, wow, it does feel wildly unfair that this one man's whole life with no sort of control on his own choice is, being impacted this way. The other part of it is, but he activates me in a way, and then it's like, and he activates all of us in a way, and then it's just like, who do you care more about, this one guy or your kids who are traumatized by them? And you're going to defend your kids probably before you defend this guy, and then that's the building, right? Like, it's my tribe before you.
Yeah, I mean, all you gotta think about is the fact that everybody's kids in the world are having
Yeah.
nightmares of being like butchered by this man.
His own kids are having them.
Yes,
Too.
if you we talk about the boogeyman as like a loose term, but then you actually make a boogeyman.
A boogeyman is
Like,
right in front of
that's
you.
the thing too. Yeah, like literally anybody that sees him, any kid that sees him for sure, is just like, that is the man from my
That's
nightmare.
Freddy Krueger right there.
Vividly.
In living flesh.
Not just I forgot, like, that's the one, like, you know.
And he went to that dinner that he coveted so much with the
Richard
fancy
and
guy and the woman.
Yeah.
Or
He's got so
whatever.
much teeth, Richard.
So much teeth.
Yes, right?
Richard was the biggest jerk.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
such
Oh,
a
I
That's
just
why
wanna
those
smack
dinners are
him.
like
Yeah, but
profound.
Yeah.
those sort of people are just so
Yeah.
common.
Oh,
And then he
Oh,
was
no.
like, "Oh, you have to leave," like right in the middle of the meal.
well, the lady freaked out.
Well,
Yeah.
Like, Grace said he shouldn't have had him leave with his wife was freaking out.
Yeah, Joe, I'm
Yeah.
with you there.
See, this
Yeah.
goes right back to, well, I've got to defend my
He probably
tribe,
shouldn't
right?
have had him
Like,
come to begin with.
Well,
in
he
this
shouldn't-
scenario.
yeah.
Like, was he an asshole previously for never talking to this guy? Yes.
Always.
But
Yes.
did he make the wrong decision here? No.
the fact that Richard maybe only considers him interesting enough to invite him now is because he's a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah.
It says so much about
But
Richard.
I think that it's more for the wife's benefit. I think
Yeah.
they're trying to
Yeah.
like. He's trying
It's
to introduce
exposure a little
Nick
bit.
Cage,
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
to
It
the
is.
wife and be like, it's just this guy, and she's like, I can't handle it.
Right, and then she pieces out. Right. So I think Richard, the little bit of like, right, and this is so much of, I think, maybe where the movie does its one job really good, which is usually nobody in this film is very black and white. They're just bad. They're just good. It's like a little bit you can see why they're doing it, a little bit it's stupid that they're doing it, right? Like Richard, in theory, on his personal level, he's like, they're interesting, that's why I would invite them. The other part of it is it's also because my wife needs a little bit of this exposure to chill the fuck out. So it's like, they're always a little bit of both, and I do like the nuance of, like, characters not just being one note in that way throughout the film.
I feel like Richard was one note, and that note was absolute terrible person.
Yeah. That being said, I think they nailed a great stereotype of, like, this is the type of person, high profile, high education, like, doctor's level people and things like that. This is such a...
Oh,
in
that
that
dinner.
dining
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
I hated that.
I know. It kind of looks like
Sydney.
Sydney,
He's
yeah.
really boring.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were talking about Sydney.
And then Sydney just kind of takes it, and then it's like, actually, that you mentioned, it does kind of look like Sydney.
He did kinda look like
I
him.
was like, he does
Yeah.
look like Sydney.
Let's get to the neurotech.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's wind it out. So wind this out, Mace.
Which he did go to the school. He traumatizes a lady, like he cuts her fingers or whatever.
Traumatizing.
He smashes her
Yeah.
hand in
He
the
gets
door.
he gets captured
Yeah.
basically, but then there's the commercial.
Yeah.
I find, this one thing I do want to say as a quick aside is this movie has all the rights to have the government capture this guy. And,
Oh,
like,
100%.
figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm very
they would have
surprised.
gotten him months.
Yeah,
ago.
like there,
Like-
there ain't no shot that this dude's just wandering
Living
around
freely.
with what's going on.
And the U.S. government would have been like, if it wasn't us, it would have been Russia.
Yeah,
Like,
no, for sure. I'm
yeah,
glad you
that's-
guys got to me first.
Like,
Yeah.
which I mean, that makes it a totally different movie.
For
So
sure.
I get
100%,
why they
yeah.
didn't do that.
You can't
but,
do that just for the
like,
movie, but
in reality, this man is not gonna go anywhere other than to a black site.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
About day 8, they're like, okay, yep, it's
To think that
consistent.
the
Back
weapons department
Yeah.
didn't come for him
Right.
single-handedly.
Yeah.
But no, I mean the commercial comes on and you got this what's it called, an influencer house that's wearing
Yeah.
all denim. It's
Yeah.
like this new thing. It can let you get into other people's dreams, and that's what society should be.
Well,
And,
it's a commercial promoting a product for influencers to go into your dreams and sell products.
Yeah.
Yes, with music, merch, anything you want.
And we do actually get Nick Cage being invaded by them at one point.
Yeah.
And him just
And one of the guys is just dancing in the
Yeah.
background.
Yes,
You're showing
yeah.
those ugly ass shoes. too.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I think that if this movie ever really does turn, I mean that's a big turn on it too. Because
Oh yeah,
it's-
well
I thought the
it's
movie
it's
ended.
very
I did
abrupt.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
it feels like it should have ended very soon after
Yeah.
the play,
Right.
But it does continue on, and
It drags for a little bit on
I liked the commercial because I was like, finally some levity
Levity,
here
yeah.
because I'm so mad at everything that's been happening to this man.
Mhm.
And now I can laugh at Noah Centineo and all
Yep.
those other random actors in this influencer house.
they were all wearing denim.
They were all
in
wearing
some
denim
part
and
of their body.
looking and sounding so stupid.
So
Yeah.
stupid.
I loved it. It
So
was
you
funny.
said you were mad at everything happening to him.
So you're
you're
on
on
his
his
side.
side.
You're on his
Yes,
side.
I'm on his
Wow.
side. Except
Alright.
for the cheating on his wife. Except for the cheating
Is
on his wife.
anybody else actually on his
I'm
side
with you,
of him?
Annabeth. Let's do
Thank
this
you.
thing.
Thank you.
Let's do this
Alright,
thing.
we found the right
Yeah.
wingers in the
Y'all are insane because it's
Check
happening
their 2024
because
ballots.
it's basically Nick Cage's id. started getting out into the world. If he wasn't this like terrible person harping on terrible thoughts,
Like,
this wouldn't be happening.
I think that this is a very real character.
That's okay, because like he hadn't done anything yet, but every decision he makes is a bad one.
Consistent.
He's
No.
making very
I
selfish,
think if you
terrible
take
No.
any 10 people, you take any 10 people walking down the street, they're gonna make the same damn decisions this dude is making because everyone's got a little self-centeredness about them. This dude obviously is playing a character.
A
and yeah,
little bit.
His
It's
littleness gets
terrible.
no.
It does.
A little,
does.
yes, but
Yeah.
here's his dial.
Yeah.
Here's healthy, normal, self-centered range.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and by the end of the movie, he's all the way over here.
Yeah, you know
no,
what?
For sure.
And the problem is he starts right here.
I
Here's
don't
the
know.
level.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
starts
yeah,
right
he
here,
starts
and
off a
he's
little
been
bit more.
cranking.
But,
from the
I mean,
beginning.
regardless, I think that just like what Nathan said, this is the movie that it's giving you. You just have to be along for the ride.
Yeah.
That's what you said
Well,
earlier.
and also you have to accept the reality of the situation that you're in, which is the thing that I keep saying too. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if this guy, if he doesn't deserve it or
Or it's
anything
not
like
fair.
that. Like
Right.
like it is what it is. You can't go out into society. You can't go to your you're traumatizing people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's not your fault. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And you should be sympathetic enough to others to understand that.
Right.
But he's not.
Do you think you would feel that way if
Nathan,
everyone was treating
if
you the way
anybody
they
in this
treated
room
guy?
would be
Yeah.
resisting
I
of that,
I would go to the woods.
I think
I would be
I
gone.
would
Nathan's
too.
like, I
I
finally have my
definitely would make
chance
the
to go to the
decision.
woods.
no, hang on. If the government was telling you, Nathan, an individual, you cannot be out in public because you're doing this and this and that and that, you'd be like, you know what,
But
government?
You look at the reality
Exactly.
of the situation.
I don't think
Here-
so.
I know,
If
here's-
I know Nathan
here's-
well enough. You know Nathan well
Here's where I'll
enough.
meet you halfway.
Y'all
Here's where I'll meet you
cook.
halfway.
I-
He goes to the woods because he craves the woods. Just
Yeah.
like the
That's
children
true.
crave
he
the
just
Don't-
wants to be in
Don't
the
bring
woods.
that to the table.
But the entire way out there, he is playing Rage Against the Machine.
He is.
as loudly as
And he's
possible. in the
plotting
forest.
the downfall of the government all along the way.
But the thing
I
is,
don't
like,
know if he goes
I
that
mean,
far.
once it changes to you being seen as a terror to everybody, because
He didn't
then you
do
stay
anything.
out of everybody's sight,
but it's
So you just
so they don't attack you.
so your life is just ruined
No,
for
you-
something you didn't
You can do something else.
Ruined.
You can figure out a different way that is not anything he has
Like,
done in
It's
this movie.
also self-preservation. You're gonna get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody's
you're gonna
You
get
got
killed.
beat up in a
Yeah.
restaurant.
And the reason, like, it keeps happening more and more at the beginning of the movie, it's only people around him that this is happening to.
Yeah.
It's for some reason affecting people that are in contact with him.
And especially
The more-
in France.
The more and more, more and more that he puts himself out there, goes
Yeah.
on TV, goes on podcasts, stuff
He's
like that.
spreading it.
Yeah.
He's spreading it to more people. Like, he's making it worse for himself
Like, if
by
he had
going
stepped
out.
back, it may have gone.
Yeah.
And went to the
Have-
woods
Wait,
with
did you just say
Nathan.
may have? Because we don't know, Jill.
Yeah.
We
This
don't know.
is the plot of the movie.
But it doesn't.
That one
look,
lady
the
who
life
had never
of one
seen him
person
before
doesn't
was
matter
already
to the
dreaming
rest.
about
Yeah.
him, and then they showed her the picture,
kill
and she
people
was
for
like,
less.
"Yeah, that is that guy."
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not just people he had contact with.
Real
But
quick.
if he hadn't been going out and being
Oh, wait.
on the news as
It's fine.
much, like it wouldn't
They
have
should-
become this big
Yeah.
thing. Like he could have just leaned into the scientific aspect, like when the kids came to ask questions, like let's do an actual scientific study on what's going on, not just like make me feel cool.
We're doing this
Just
thing
about
of
me.
what if game now, and now we're way off the rock.
Okay. Well, I'll start to wind this down really quickly. Fun fact: the book he's reading at the diner is called "Why."
Why
Why
unicorns don't get
no,
ulcers.
Why zebras don't get ulcers.
Oh, that's what it was. It
And
was
it's
zebras.
actually a great book. It's a.
Shut up.
It's written by a.
Shut up,
therapist.
you
You
stupid
can't
science
fucking
Yeah.
say that. There's
It's-
no way you've read that book.
I have no. I actually refer to
Okay.
them quite frequently with that
Then
one.
why don't zebras get ulcers?
Because animals in the animal kingdom actually don't get stress in the same way we do. We as humans are developed enough in our brains where stress is actually detrimental to our health, which is hence the book name. Zebras don't get ulcers. Humans do. Because we literally, it stresses the silent
Horses get
killer.
ulcers. It's a big deal.
Zebras don't.
I don't know what has happened to
That's
the
why the
podcast
book is
since I've been
zebra.
I
gone.
trust Jill.
Yeah,
I think
so-
horses get ulcers.
So you
Let's
would say, like, so what you're saying is domesticated animals deal with stress
It's not a
differently
human
than
thing,
wild
it's a,
animals.
Right.
Speaking of books,
Yes.
we have not talked about him going on his book tour and doing all that.
Going to
Little, like,
France.
Yeah.
Right.
Please, let's do that.
I'm glad that yes, we're winding out the one with this. I'm
yeah,
glad
so this is
he
like
gets his-
after his wife is like separated from
Separated,
him,
mm.
and
Does
he's
France like him because France really likes
Horror.
horror.
yeah.
Well, they like trash
they
because
like,
they are trash.
They like Raw,
so
like Mason's movie.
Yeah.
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 No, and I love that they kept hitting that line throughout. Like, oh man, I'm really blowing up over there now.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's France of all
Yeah,
places.
the worst kind of people. That's the which
I
makes
mean,
sense for him. That's his
I
force.
think it's like supposed to maybe be like a play on like self-loathing and stuff like
Maybe, yeah.
because they're having these nightmares too, but
they're
seem to
embellishing
be,
them.
Well, they
Yeah.
seem to be enjoying
Yeah.
the.
I love the horror
horrors.
movie, the horror lean in. Like it's just the horror subgroup, but France in specific is just a culture that leans heavy into self-loathing and that, like just vibe in general with it.
Which he thought he was writing this biography about himself and his experience, but like they cut it.
You can
to
tell
a
they just
ton
go right it,
and
go straight
just
to
to the
something.
scary stuff.
Yeah.
And then they like have him dress up with the claw or whatever, like Freddy
medieval
Krueger.
claw.
They're
Or,
like, oh.
Yeah.
And
Friday
he's like,
the
"Do I
13th.
got to?" And then you see him go stare, just kind of nodding silently.
Mhm.
But then he's like so into it though.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, all the pictures of the claw about it.
That's what I'm saying. Anything that comes his way, he's just doing it. And like, I know that we've already touched on this. We won't get it crazy. I think people do that. Like they,
Yeah.
a little bit of fame. Oh, I've never had this before. Yes. Yes.
At that point, especially, I don't blame him.
He
for
doesn't have
doing
any other
anything because
Well,
it's
he
like
has nothing
he's
left.
capped out, and I'm like, all right, if
Yeah.
I'm.
Sure.
I mean, listen, if I got to the point, well, this is going to be a little extreme, but I think it just hits the metaphor right. If you get to
We've
the
already been there, Dylan.
if you get to the point where it's just like, oh shit, my actions have unintentionally, let's say, killed millions of Jewish people, then you probably just lean in. Like, you kind of make the Hitler point here, where it's like in for a
I'm
penny.
not with him.
I'm not
in for a
with
pound,
him.
I'm not
you
with
know?
him.
I'm moving away.
Really? Because it's just Hitler light, you know?
I don't know what
Like,
you're talking about, but at this point, for
You
me,
usually don't, but go ahead and finish those out. Yeah.
for like, I think at this point, like when he had all these options and like they brought him in at first, like at the beginning of the movie, he has all these options and he's like, I can be picky and choosy with what I want. At this point in the movie,
And his
like, at the
options get
end,
more limited
he
as
is-
time goes on.
He is drowning, and he's like, I'll take whatever is given to me at this point, whatever it is. I'll sell my morals, whatever,
Yeah.
and do whatever they tell him to, which he does.
You think Obama's still a thing?
No.
You think that
I think
option
it's
He
Sprite's
asked
table.
that.
I wonder if
He
Sprite's
asked
still on
that.
the board, though. Sprite, those doors will close.
And then
Yeah.
he finally bought one of those influencer bands or
Mhm.
whatever
Yeah,
it
he
was.
was like trying to use
Yeah.
it unsuccessfully at the end of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which led to that scene with his wife at the end, which
Oh,
I think ended
yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
his
he
wife's
did.
Great.
dream.
He did succeed, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he was actually in his wife's dream though.
No.
It's obscure, I guess. It's kind of left open ended.
I like to
Sure.
believe that he finally got into his wife's
I
dream.
don't. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
he sucks.
Ah!
He sucks, and he should get beat up.
Yeah,
at
be
the
fair
end.
to-
this dude sucks the
Yeah.
whole way.
There were
through.
still like years that he had plenty of time to like connect again with his wife. Not to say they'd ever get back together, but their daughters were like 12 and 15.
Mhm.
So like, it's
Yeah,
not-
once they graduate,
Yeah,
yeah.
like they still got a few years to hash it out. I
No,
don't
she
think
finds
he
another
just
shitty guy to marry
vanishes.
by then. She has poor
Chris,
taste in men.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
So-
that is again last thing one really scenes I liked a lot was before he went to France and he had that goodbye scene with his wife
Mhm.
and he like had this hug goodbye with her and it was so tender and everything and then it cuts like back like 30 seconds prior and then she's just like see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like that a lot because you
Yeah.
can tell he's just like fantasizing about what he
Well,
should
and
be getting.
she's like
Mhm.
already with another guy because
Yeah.
on the drive up,
Yeah.
he's like asking them about like does he stay over?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like like
Stop.
that sort of stuff's like also don't ask those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
you,
ask
you don't want to
your
know those
children
answers.
Yeah.
that.
Well, and you don't want to know.
Right.
You don't. It's not good. You're not going to be happy with your answers.
I like how direct Nathan's looking at the camera, and I know he's trying to speak to Nick
Don't
Cage's
do
character.
it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Alright, scores?
No.
Whoa!
Whoa!
He's
Back
trying to
there.
cut it out.
Much like the
He wants to
amount.
get rid of it.
Nice try. Fat, thin, perfectly fit shape of the movie.
Damn it.
Annabeth, take it from the top.
I think it was fit.
Woo!
Good job. Annabeth.
That's my very fit answer.
Okay, that was very pumped. Yeah.
That fit answer is
That's
fit.
good.
Jill.
It was like a tiny bit fat
Uh-huh.
because I was very surprised it kept going.
Where
at
would
the
you trim
end.
the fat?
The commercial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm
you would
with
cut out
Jill.
the commercial or just everything
Um,
after the commercial?
Either one. You
or-
could leave the commercial in or cut it out too. It's very jarring. It doesn't feel like part of the movie.
It's too long. Like I get the
Yeah.
idea.
It's like a
after
whole
little
like
bit.
Like,
segment.
it's a
It's an
Yeah.
interesting idea, but it is out of place in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't like I could see the merits of working it in, but it doesn't actually matter to this story, so I would probably cut it.
Mhm.
Like it would be a fun little bit, but it is not a bit that really fits in this movie.
Mhm.
Like you can say that it gives levity, but you don't need levity. That you're just watching.
This movie wants you to. This wants
like
you in the
whatever.
gutter.
You're just
Yeah.
watching a guy being horrible. Like
Yeah. Nathan.
I mean that's it.
Fat.
I think most agree it's a little fat.
Yeah.
Speech
Yeah.
over.
I don't know. I feel like I need to pad out my thing that everybody else was so bloated on it. Yeah, this is a fat movie. The commercial goes. There's probably chunks of other parts of the movie goes. Cut the fart out. Come on, you could just be him busting, but you know.
But I described you how it's a pathetic fart.
Yes,
It's supposed to
trust
be-
me, I get the impression he's pathetic without him farting and busting at the same
That makes
time.
you feel bad for him.
Why would
No.
you feel bad?
I
You don't feel
so sorry for
way.
that.
You know, if you're gonna
No.
feel bad, here's when you feel bad. If he busts early, that's when you feel bad, and then he farts, and then I'm like, you know what? I
He
don't.
can't control anything he's
Like,
doing.
that's,
Right.
like, that's just a step
It's-
further, even more.
No.
Like,
I don't feel
Quit,
bad for
quit,
him. I just
quit
think
trying
he's
to add a
pathetic.
little bit of levity to this pathetic man's
Which
life.
that happened to Caesar when he got groomed last time. Apparently,
Yeah.
they gave him a bath and he pooped in the bath.
Yeah.
He's old, just like Nicolas Cage.
That's-
It happens.
That's why you find.
Yeah,
this
that's
whole,
why
like,
he finds it
partisan
addictive.
area.
Because he
That's what
reminds
this
me
movie
of
should have been
Caesar.
called.
If it were Caesar, I would say it's okay. So
That's what happened to Caesar.
anything that Nick Cage does that Caesar does, I'm okay with. Mason.
Yeah, this movie's way chubby.
Yeah.
Way chubby.
I tend to
Way
think-
chubby. He didn't say
I-
fat, he just said way chubby.
I agree with Nathan 1,000% and Jill too. This movie, I know we play the what if game a lot, but I mean, if you take that commercial out of it, as soon as the girl's fingers get, kind of like messed up,
Smashing the door.
you
Yeah.
can actually pivot and go just a little bit further into the story, and then finish with the divorce and finish with the you don't even have to have that watch involved. That was almost like a directorial choice where you're just like, you know what, we're already kind of into the kooky side of things. Where like this dude's being in dreams. Maybe we can create a project.
It's more of an epilogue.
That's
I,
what
I
I
feel like
agree.
it was the director just wanting to insert his own clever idea of how society would like
Would
take
Yeah.
this.
do this
tech.
and beyond.
That's
yeah.
a really good point.
And I think
also wanted to make it mirror the beginning of the movie, which they hadn't done yet.
Yeah.
true. But yeah, I mean, it was a little jar. I didn't hate it, but I do think that this movie was chubby for other reasons too. But if you're gonna really trim it, because how long was it?
Hour 40.
No way.
That sounds right.
Hour 40.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long.
Hour
It
40.
Yeah,
felt
it's
like
hour
2
40.
hours.
Hour 40.
It does feel like 2 hours.
Right?
It feels like
Wow. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, so it's still chubby for me. I don't know.
I really agree with Mason's point that like after the school scene, it does seem like an epilogue at that point with it cutting to the commercial and then what happens afterward to Nick Cage, which that's not entirely needed because his character doesn't grow or change at that point. There's nothing more you learn about him at that point. But since this is such like a biased review panel like we've always been since the beginning,
We only get
I'm
more.
already on board for what I'm given in this movie, and I really enjoy it. So just getting the chance to see like 15 more minutes of the movie and just engaging with this, in my opinion, despicable character, I'm on board with. The commercial, like Jill said, is too long. They could have just presented this tech as like, hey, like they got this idea from you, and you can possibly hop into people's dreams. That's all it's needed. Don't need to see the influencers and all that stuff.
You don't need to see the vibing group chat
No.
members that are like just dancing and
Don't need
carrying
all of
on.
that. So I'm gonna agree with Jill that it's just a little bit fat. Not too much, but a little bit.
Yeah, it's not the DLC that you would have bought, but if 2 DLCs came out and one was the commercial, one was the other parts, you would definitely buy the second one.
I would only buy the second.
Yeah, but you do buy the DLC.
You want some more power with that punch? Try
Yeah.
these nutrients at blah 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 blah. Fuck, I messed up again.
Yeah. Do we have a question, Nathan? I got a question if you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one-
I mean, I feel like we've kind of hit the
We
things
have.
that would be the
We've had a lot of
We have.
questions.
But this
There's
one-
a lot of
very
this-
obvious.
I did-
Like you
This
know,
one in specific because Price is here.
Okay.
I didn't think there was going to be a question of who's on his side.
No.
I think that's the craziest part
No,
of it.
that's, you know what, apparently 1 out of 3.
Yeah, that's not right.
But,
Those odds
Go ahead.
stand out.
alright, which one had the better post-separation scene? This or Marriage Story?
They're about the same, right?
You know, it's funny you mention that because I was watching
Similar
this.
vibes.
Yeah.
The score on this movie is very similar to Marriage Story for some reason. It's a
Yeah.
lot of soft piano kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a weird comparison, but I'm
This-
definitely going Marriage Story.
This
100%.
movie's way more mellow, I think.
You
just
think Adam
overall.
Driver, Scarlett Johansson have better chemistry?
You're
than-
talking about the scene with the Halloween.
the post-Halloween one and
tying
the
his
tennis
shoes.
shoes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That seems perfect already. Like I
Oh.
can't think of
Yeah.
many
I mean, that's
scenes
this
that
is
top
an
that.
easy answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never
Well,
mind.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody
No, I'm
might-
with
I'm
you.
trying to see the people
Well,
who
you're
really
talking
love this
about
movie.
two genuinely extremely unlikable characters, and then two characters
that
that
are
like
fighting for it.
that
Yeah.
like you can understand and feel like
I'm
they're
with
not completely worthless assholes.
Listen, I had to give him a quick question. It's a long show.
And it had the like right before the separation scene of Marriage Story, they Adam Driver read the letter from Scarlett Johansson that she had ever sent, and we never got to hear. God bless.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's so good. Now I need to watch that again.
It's been a really long time since I've seen that. I'm not
So you
remembering
should pick
anything.
this one.
Got an influencer.
She's like Adam Driver though.
Yeah.
Step on me, daddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, but I am thinking about the scene I remember most in Marriage Story is when he's like he just starts singing at the
At the
do they
piano
go to
bar?
karaoke
Right,
or
yeah.
In Marriage Story?
I love
yeah.
that part. That was great.
It's unrelated to the question.
It
but
is
carry
unrelated.
Being-
I couldn't remember.
Being Alive.
Yeah,
probably the
from
best
Company.
scene.
It was so good.
Best scene in the movie. Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go with this. I can't.
Hell
No, my answer.
She loves Nick Cage.
Yeah,
No,
she loves
this
my
person.
answer is invalid because I don't remember Marriage Story that much. And I don't think you've
We
ever
will
seen
amend
it,
that, her
I have to
answer.
say, everybody is her answer valid?
Yeah,
Valid.
valid. Answer stands. Jill.
I haven't seen Married Story.
So this one?
I can't
Her
answer.
answer stands.
Her answer stands.
Yeah.
1 out of 3.
What? Yeah.
1 out of 3.
1 out of 3. Anyways, Nathan.
I already said.
He said Marriage Story. There's no
Marriage Story.
contest.
Yeah, it's no contest. What a silly thing. Who would ever pick the other
Good question, Dylan.
Thank you. All right, let's get the scores. Price, we'll start you off.
Works for me.
Yeah.
I watched this on a blind watch, like I said earlier this year. Watch it again because they picked it for this one. I was going to pick this movie for this season, wheel, whatever, until I had a baby and he ruined everything.
Yeah.
So
Heard it here first.
I
Yeah.
was wanting to pick this movie anyway. I love a good anti-hero that you follow. Like I said, favorite show is Breaking Bad. I love a deep anti-hero, one that's not just on the top. Like we even have people here that were on his side. I think that's nuts.
Yeah.
But I love that this
Yeah.
movie can present it as that because I do see their argument that's like he kind of isn't directly able to influence people's dreams. He's not going like, I'm going to beat this kid with a hammer tonight. He doesn't do that. It just happens and he doesn't have anything to say about it. I like that. To me, it didn't feel long at all. It felt like a very crisp, fast hour, 40 minutes. And I so enjoyed Nicolas Cage playing this role. This is something I've never seen him do. He's really delving in. He's not doing an over-the-top kind of Mandy performance. He's not doing a Con Air over-the-top. Like, it's
Good stuff.
it's just a very subtle, like, smarmy incel kind of guy, which you don't see too many, like, portrayed as the main character as you do in this movie. So I really enjoyed this movie. I give it 8.5.
8.5.
8.5. That's a B+ by most standards. Mason.
I don't understand why Price had to bring Con Air into this.
Yeah, wow.
I think that's a fantastic movie that doesn't need to have any low blows delivered to it.
I didn't say Con Air was bad. It is
You
what
said
it is.
over the top.
Yeah.
But I want that. If I'm watching Fast and Furious, I want people driving over the moon. I don't want a subtle Bryan Cranston
That makes two of
performance.
us.
Yeah.
No, I think that this movie it's pretty fun. Where it's it's A24, correct? So you kind of just have
Yeah,
that like
definitely.
weird little vibe.
You can tell.
that- yeah,
It's got that A24 filter over
Yeah,
it
it's
too.
it's
Yeah.
filmed and shot in a way that's A24.
Yeah.
But something we didn't really touch on was like every time Nicolas Cage went to his own defense in these dreams, he's like, "Honey, do you really think that I would hit you in the head with a hammer? Like, do you think that I would do that in real life?" Like he
You
was
stupid
constantly
idiot.
playing
Yeah.
this like victim character that I
Yeah.
feel like again would happen. Like you would obviously just be trying to convince this other person that's saying that they're doing crazy stuff. Like, that's not me. Like, I'm never even harmed a fly,
Uh-huh.
But I do think that this movie, it ends in a pretty nice note. I like these kinds of endings where it's like, it's not happy.
Mhm.
You get very rocky along the way, and he obviously gets assaulted in a diner.
Deservedly so.
Yeah, he does.
It's-
Like, can you
he
please
picks
go? You're
he
making
picks
people
up like a
uncomfortable.
mashed potato
Perfectly
pile,
so.
and he
was
just swings
sitting
it
there eating.
until he threw it.
Yeah, he did throw it.
He did throw. Okay, that guy deserved to have food thrown at him.
I also
I
don't
do.
disagree either. I throw the sandwich too, but
Yeah.
I definitely get my ass kicked by that.
No, I would throw the sandwich and I would outrun that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
I know.
He
Throw
had.
the sandwich
He's
and
likely
run
to kick my ass
faster.
as soon as
Yeah,
I throw this, but
that
I'm
dude
gonna
was huge.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get mine.
Yeah. I still think this movie's pretty darn good. It's a 7.5. I can see why he makes a lot of these decisions. I'm with Annabeth. I don't think that he is as bad of a character as 4 out of 6 people on this couch think that he is. He gets there. He gets worse and worse for sure. But I think when fame is presented to you and you don't know how to handle it, you're gonna make some choices that probably aren't in your best interest or your family's best interest, which really is what he should have had in mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't talk about them too much.
Yeah, he very much is doing it. The self-centeredness.
You did. His daughter, how she's doing after the dreams turn in the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it took his life.
She never told him that she had another dream about him.
But she had been dreaming about him, and he knew about it. If he cared about her, wouldn't he ask her, like, how are you doing?
Yeah. It took his wife saying, and Sophia's depressed, or Hannah's depressed.
And you could see in her demeanor around him that she was afraid of him.
On guard.
Big
Right.
time.
Yeah. And he didn't pick up on that because he's a selfish asshole.
Yeah, he is.
Mason says that this character gets worse throughout the entire, goes downhill in the entire film. I think he's
that
bad, and he just keeps giving situations to show how bad he is.
Oh,
I'm on the other end. I think that this character sucks from start to finish. You wait until your turn.
All right, I did what I could. All on your shoulders.
This character sucks. The movie's main focus is on this character. I did not have a great time on that. The best thing I can say about it is that Nick Cage does a great job of making him feel himself very unlikable. For a character I normally really enjoy. Well, for an actor I usually very much enjoy, he plays a very deplorable character in this one. A little too well. Mind you that he's a good actor from time to time. But that being said, he shaped the experience of how I felt in the movie, and I was just like, oh, this fucking guy. If I have to see him do more shit, I swear to God. And then he farts. And then it's just like, oh my God. Him and Caesar,
Caesar. Not again, pooping in the pool.
I was like, Price is going to like this, though. I wonder if he's going to pop into this movie review. And sure enough, so...
It's not like a laugh out loud kind of fart.
No, it's
not.
not.
Like a Tim and Eric fart.
No, but, okay.
It's not a Shrimp moment.
Shrimp.
To the laugh out loud at most farts.
Yeah. It included a really cool book that I thought was tasteful.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, that's one of the better things I can incorporate into it, and otherwise, I don't like a lot of this movie. I did not have a lot of great time with this movie. Hour 40, I knew on the dot how long this movie was. It's not so bad to push it into the 5 below territory, but it's definitely a 6.
Ooh.
Yeah. If you ask me to watch it again, though, it goes down. It goes even every time I watch it.
See how far I can go.
Yeah, it's gonna go. It's gonna
I
keep
think
getting pushed lower.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I think if any subsequent watch of this movie, I would knock it down.
It's worse.
It
the
went
more I
up
watch
for
it.
me.
Yeah.
No, I would definitely never watch this movie again.
Oh, okay.
Bryce, you're the only
you're
Satanist.
Yeah. Press
Or
is like,
masochist.
I would do it again.
Satanist?
Yeah.
I
No, I
enjoyed
like
it.
Satanists now.
Yeah, well, it's
I enjoyed it.
technically we all had to watch it.
Yeah.
So like, it's more than
I
just
got even
yourself.
more.
Sadist is the one you're looking
Oh,
for there.
yeah.
Bob.
I thought the argument was masochist and sadist. That's my
Never
bad.
change, Mason.
Never change.
I got
Annabeth.
even more on my second
You
watch.
just skipped Nathan and Jill.
Nathan.
Nathan's the host, so it goes to him, and then we
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we check. Trust me, I've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah.
I know how to pass the baton. Yeah,
Okay.
it feels like it.
Unlike men's 4x100.
No,
Oh.
we struggled with the Yoshi egg passing on the season end.
That's because you made it literal, and then we had to keep up with it. It was not a great time. Annabeth.
Anyway.
Yes.
I liked this movie. I thought it was a good movie. I would never watch it again, but I thought it was a good movie. To your point that he just gets worse and worse, and you said he starts out bad and he's just given opportunities to show how bad he is. I think it's more of a commentary on when people treat you a certain way, you're gonna double down and push back against that treatment.
Some resistance.
Yeah, you're not just gonna roll over and be like, oh yeah, I'll just leave my whole life and existence and let people just dictate who I am and what I do because of their perception.
If you're a good functioning member of society, you would.
No!
No, I don't think you would.
Don't worry,
I don't think you would.
Yeah, Nathan gets last
Do you have
word.
any
Yeah.
thoughts about how others feel in the world?
A healthy, empathetic human being, most neurotypical healthy individuals.
I will not stand down. I will fight.
Yeah.
I will fight society.
It's one thing if you've done something bad and then people are like, you need to leave. But he didn't do anything! Anyway, but I think the movie does have a really good commentary on that and just fame and just a lot of things. I think it's technically a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give it a 7.5, but I had so much bad feelings that I'm knocking it down to a 7.
I get that. I've knocked down, like, we've all done that. Like, we come in like 7.5, like
like
I'm
this-
angry at everybody else.
Yes,
I'm giving this
it's
a
a better
7.
movie than my experience of it, but
Yeah.
my
This is-
score is a 7.
I feel like that's
And
how
it
I
reflects. Yeah.
That's how I scored Raw, where I'm like technically a pretty solid movie
That-
throughout.
I like this movie, but
my
no.
feelings during had questions on it.
I didn't know what to give this movie for a long time
Mm.
because I just didn't know what to feel about it. I really enjoyed it. Like, it was well done, pretty, shot well, really good acting. But also, like, the character's not enjoyable to watch.
Yes.
It's also just a weird movie. So I thought about giving like a 6.5 because I enjoyed it. But I also really enjoyed this discussion, so now it's bumped up to a 7.
Oh.
Hey! Nathan, a 10 is deserved.
Take it away.
Combine all the scores together and
This,
divide them by 9.
And this movie is basically, I feel like, trying to do commentary on the idea of somebody being thrust into the limelight from like anonymity to being overwhelmingly well known in a like viral sense. Like, it's literally all about somebody going viral.
Like the hot
And-
tour girl.
I was gonna say this is the hot two.
You know, that honestly could probably make a pretty apt comparison there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know
She
that very
changed
well,
overnight,
but isn't
yeah.
she like?
She hung out with Shaq. She's been at concerts.
But isn't she also like? Aren't a lot of people really negative on her now too? Or something?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well,
I think
because
people
of
are like
the decisions that she's made, like just because of this short time frame of like what she's been given.
but
you
you
know,
see, there
same thing.
again, you're pointing to exactly like what this is, which is a character making a bunch of bad decisions
overnight.
Yeah.
in this sudden like
So
turn of
quick.
events overnight. But it's also somebody who's unbelievably selfish. Like,
What if she comes after you?
you have to
Hot two.
you have to like understand the situation in which you're existing in and not be so selfish about everything.
Mhm.
It's not about you. It's like there's so many other people that your own freedoms or liberties are not important whenever you're talking about the whole rest of the world.
which is the whole point of the school assembly scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, none of those people deserve for you to completely disrupt and disturb their time just because you feel like you deserve something. It's super selfish. This character's terrible and just shows what a super selfish person is probably like. Like, it's like self-centered and also, I mean, it's a thing I said from the beginning. It's self-centered and lazy put together in a really awful package. And the fact that he was married, crazy.
Yeah.
But that also speaks to the character of the wife. Why would you marry this guy?
She's awful
Yeah.
too. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Game recognizes game.
You know, one thing before being John Malkovich has not been mentioned at all in this.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very good.
That's a good
Very
comparison. That's a
good
very
comparison.
good
Yeah, 'cause
comparison.
there
Yeah.
are also some really terrible people just
Yeah.
doing a lot of weird, really bad, weird things.
Cameron
very
Diaz was in that
bizarre
movie.
storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never thought about that,
there's some
yeah.
pretty good parallels to be drawn there. I like that movie way more than this movie.
True.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
thought you were going to compare it to, maybe, but I didn't know.
Malkovich,
Yeah.
Malkovich, take us away.
I mean, I'm probably gonna land at like a 5.5 on it. I think. Like,
Wow, we
Congrats, Bryce.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch this movie again. I don't like the characters in it. I get what they're trying to do. I think the director, and the thing that Price would normally say, the director was trying to beat you over the head with stuff in ways that I felt, and it
The commercial
annoyed
is
me.
the biggest.
Oh, the commercial is
thing.
very much just him thinking, or whoever, to me, feels like they're thinking,
Perfect world.
well, let me be so clever. Let me show, like, you know, the problems with our society and,
Right.
like, the sort of things that would happen
We
given
live
this
in a
tech. Like,
society.
no
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's what would happen.
Yeah.
But does that actually need to be in this movie? No. It doesn't.
Which
It
I think
shouldn't have been.
everyone had problems with the commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave it an 8.5. It was like,
Like,
yeah, the
it's
commercial
so
could go.
heavy-handed
I
and
liked it.
completely unnecessary.
It was.
And
What is
I was like,
happening
I
in
thought
this
it was
podcast?
We finally found our people.
Right.
You have.
I kind of liked it too.
I like the chaos. I want to point out on the score spread, we all came really close to almost being in a perfect 8.5 all the way to 5.5 ratio of, like, you know, everybody hitting.
steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, we almost had the stairs on this one, but Jill went up, and then I probably gave it too favorable of a score.
That's
I
why we're
guess.
hitting the Jill now.
Yeah, so Jill, we
Yes.
messed up our steps.
Every time she asks, why me? And
Yeah.
there's
Why
something
me?
Annabeth, you want to spin it?
This is why.
I do.
You've had a hard week. Go ahead. This is your award on this one.
I'm,
What we got?
Please don't tell me. it's
aliens?
Aliens?
Question mark?
Nathan again. Hey,
That's
back
right.
to back.
What's
All
the
right.
What
movie?
is it?
Prey.
Yeah!
I've not
Hulu.
seen it
I
yet.
haven't
but
either.
I want to. so.
Yeah.
Pray.
Yeah, tell
You-
us.
No, nobody
Oh,
needs
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
like
No,
that's
just
what I was about to
don't
say.
tell
Is like
us.
no,
No.
you don't want any. You
No.
don't want any. You go
Yeah.
into
Go in blind.
I heard it's good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's good too.
Yeah.
Really underperformed, I heard, but
Yeah,
And
underperformed
that's
in
like
theaters.
Prey is in Prey.
EY. Yeah,
Figured
not.
maybe.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Annabeth.
not that.
Yeah, we knew if anybody was gonna mess it
No.
up, it would have been the edges over here. But anyways, that's our.
yeah.
Got you too.
Yeah, 2 for 1. Annabeth thought that she was free, and then Bryce got egg on her faces. Anyways, that's our show, guys. As always, make sure to tune in next week for Prey. If you like the content we're doing, make sure to let in the comments below. What do you think? Should Prey be spelled with an A or an E? Did you think that Nicolas Cage was not that bad? Did you like the commercial? Let us know what you thought in the
Nicolas
comments.
Cage did a good job.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Well, sorry. Does his character likable or redeemable? Can you see yourself in them, or do you hate him?
Are you within 33% of this podcast?
Yes.
I think that he's not that terrible.
1 in 3 people think that he's kind of redeemable. Not us.
Just kind of.
The majority of us, not so much.
I feel like this might reflect like the way like blue and red vote.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah,
That's what you
yeah.
said earlier.
I know. I was like, check the ballots.
ballot vote.
Check the ballots 2024, guys. Anyways, make sure to hit the bell. We can do it again.
God.
Ah! Can you hit Jill though, just to stay consistent? Thank you.
They're always so gentle with their hits.
I know.
Just so we're
I
aware.
fear
They're gonna
Yeah,
learn.
you
We
two
had
are
4
like-
years.
like,
yeah,
to
there we
really
go, like,
beef
We've been
ours up.
building momentum up, so you know.
Gained resistance. We had to get harder.
Yeah, we did. Here on this podcast, we always get harder. Make sure to tune in next week for Prey. All right, bye, guys.
Bye. And Theo
Oh, Theo.
finally died.
And Theo.